How is everyone? It's Friday night, another Friday night with the Madhouse. How is everybody?
Really good, thanks.
Oh, I'm so happy tonight because it's the first night of streaming on my own network. I've got a network with my good friend Nick, and we've not been able to stream on it because Facebook's got this mad rule that you've got to have 100 followers and 60 days on Facebook. So I'm really happy to say that this is the first night. So guys, welcome to my network night. Yay! Hurrah! So as everybody sees, we have got Pursuit of the Paranormal podcast on with us tonight. We have Greg and Ash. How are you, gentlemen?
Exciting.
Very well. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
You're
very good,
very welcome.
We have been fans for a while, guys. I watch your channel. Right.
Oh, nice one. Thank you.
Yes, so do I on TikTok.
Yeah, I recognise your name, Wayne.
I thought you would.
Making models. You were making models the other day, I think, weren't you?
Oh yes, I was doing my the Neo Colbert sodding thing. They're not nice to do.
I've
got to finish it.
No, good.
I'm just going to quickly go into the comments because they're building. Hi Nigel, hi Emma Louise. I'm so sorry, Nigel. What's going on? I hope you're all right. Hi Ian, hi Nicola. So gentlemen, how did you get into podcasting?
Go on, Greg.
Okay. Right, so it was during lockdown, and I used to play online poker.
Mm-hmm.
Ash used to play online poker, and I was made an admin of the Micro Ballers poker group on Facebook by a guy called Mark. And so, yeah, we were all admin, we were chatting in an admin chat. And then Ash putting some stuff up about UFO Identified, which is his UFO group. And so I messaged him and basically said, oh, I'm really into that sort of thing. I've got a paranormal group that I'm part of. Yep. So we chatted for literally a couple of days, and it was just like, random question, do you fancy doing a podcast? And within 2 weeks, we had our first episode out, and we're 4.5 years deep now. So
wow.
It's a bit of a wild, non-paranormal UFO related story, really. It's just a chance encounter.
Do you know what it is? A lot of people I found were doing podcasts because that's when I started really podcasting, was during the hard times. I'm trying not to use the word because YouTube it gets up your arse if you use that word. But yeah, a lot of people started podcasting around that time because what really could you do? You were in your house, you were told you weren't allowed to go down the garden path as such. So I can totally get it. Ash, what about you? What drove you to podcasting? Was it just the same sort of lines?
Yeah, because I started UFO Identified, UFO group during the same time period. In fact, it'll be 5 years ago this month when I started that up. Like Greg said, I was posting about it, and so I was looking to get involved in a group. Always had this interest, and during not being at work, because we're at home, I thought I got a lot of time now to sort of do a lot of UFO kind of research and stuff. And I was trying to find a local group to be part of, and I just couldn't find anything like local or anything recent. So I thought I'll just do it myself. I'll just start my own thing. And then so you just post about it, trying to get people to join and stuff. And then Greg was like, "Oh, I always wanted to do a podcast. Do you fancy it?" So I was like, "Yeah, go on then." I hadn't really thought about it, to be honest. And then like I say, in 2 weeks, we had the first episode. After trying to figure out how to do everything, learning as you go.
Yeah.
We've done nearly 350 episodes now.
Oh, so, wow.
It's been a good journey.
The first one, I think, is always daunting. it's like you think to yourself, like I even still get nervous. Like not so much when I'm with like the guys. See if I'm left on my own, and I'm like so many years in, it's still, and I feel, oh my god, like I feel like everybody's in the room with me, and you know that way where you're like, just smile and wave, boys, smile and wave. It's like kind of that way. But
we hadn't even like spoken to each other. Like apart from that, we were in the same sort of admin chat, but we never actually spoken to each other before. And all of a sudden, we were
that's pretty crazy how that
creating
happened.
this thing together, and they've become like really good friends over the past 4 years. So it's been good.
Yeah. So have you ever had experiences with UFOs, or is it just a passion?
So my passion started from a sighting in 1997. I was 10 years old, and we saw a classic black triangle craft of some sort just above us, just moved right across the sky. There's a couple of adults and kids out in the street. Like I say, I was 10.
Wow.
Clearly, it was like the classic white light in each corner, but you could clearly see the defined craft. It wasn't 3 different lights, it was a defined craft. It just went across. Adults were like, that's not a plane, that's not a helicopter, they don't know what that is. And it went. And then so I was just like, okay, what was that? And then that just kicked off the whole interest. That's now been nearly 30 years worth of interest from that one sighting. And that has since, really.
So it was the typical TR3B shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, the shape.
Yeah. That has been seen a lot over the years. I mean, obviously, you saw it when you were 10, back in 1997, and myself and my co-host of the Dark Mirror radio show saw it 2 years ago at Rendlesham Forest.
Wow.
It was literally right over the top of us, and we managed to get a picture of it. So it's and we all of this time that we were there, we were filming for a show I present called Truth Beyond Paranormal, and while we were there, we were being watched by the MOD. They watched us from the East Gate right the way down through the forest to the alleged landing site and to the actual landing site. And they were there all the time. And when they came over, we saw 6 in total, but only managed to get the photo of the one. And literally within seconds of it disappearing off in an easterly direction, 2 F-15s came in from RF Lakenheath.
Yeah.
All the objects we saw up to that point were not showing up on the Aviation Authority radar, yet those 2 F-15s did.
That's crazy.
It's an amazing place, Wayne. I've been there several times as well.
Yeah. We're looking at doing a little festival there next summer. Not this summer coming, but summer after.
26.
Yeah.
That'd be great. That would be great.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, I've never. Sorry, Simon, you go, love.
Sorry, are you based? You sound northern. Are you up in north of the country?
Yeah, I'm in Manchester.
Yeah. So is this where you saw your objects?
Yeah, so it was in Warrington. Lived in Warrington at the time when I was a kid.
Wow. Okay.
So saw that in Warrington.
You don't have to say the exact place, but I just wondered. That's all. But they're seen all over the world, aren't they? And it's amazing.
What about you, Greg? Have you had the experiences, or was it just a passion for yourself?
So Ash was into the UFOs. I was more into the paranormal.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up, I used to watch a program called Arthur C. Clarke's World of Strange Mysteries.
Yes.
Of a certain age will know that.
Started us all off, I think.
And as a result of that, on one of the episodes, it talked about poltergeists, and the Enfield poltergeist was a classic case, and that was featured on the show. Freaked me out. I was only little at the time, so my sort of passion was the paranormal, really. And then X-Files came on TV, so I got into UFOs as well.
Who hasn't watched the X-Files? I love the X-Files.
Everybody loves the X-Files, don't they?
Yeah, and then I kind of sort of went down more of a UFO kind of route about 20 odd years ago, and then that sort of life gets in the way, and then got back into the paranormal 15 years ago or so, and then just been the last sort of 40 years really I've been into the paranormal, and then we've done the podcast, and I've been learning a lot more about the UFOs and UAPs, and cryptids is another thing that we touch on quite a lot. So
cryptids, they're something else. Cryptids, they take the piss at me because I can't say it. So I've got my own breed of cryptids, while you would have what you have in your own.
So yeah, that's me really. So Ash was, when we first started, it was more UFO. I was more paranormal, and then as we've sort of, like Ash said, we've done about 350 episodes in total. We're sort of, there's this blur. It's all a blur now, really, I suppose. But Ash is the UFO expert of the two, for sure. So.
It does that, doesn't it? When you've done so many shows, the sort of the ones you did at the start tend to sort of disappear out of your memory banks, and you're sitting there thinking, crumbs. Now, what was so significant about the first show? And you could probably pick up parts of the first one, but then the second, third, and fourth tend to be sort of more hazy, and you look and you think, okay. And I can only remember Truth Beyond Paranormal now is now into its 7th year. And we remember the first episode we filmed simply because my partner's mobile phone went off as we were filming the introduction. And I'm walking through an administration building talking about how a black shadow was seen darting from one office to the other. And as I'm being serious and walking down the corridor, my partner's phone goes off, and it's the theme tune to The Little Mermaid. And it ended up, now every episode we have, all the cock-ups end up in the blooper reel at the end.
Yeah. So
although it's a serious show, we do have the funny bit right at the end where we have all the cock-ups. And, of course, this one features. But then when I look back, say, maybe 3 years ago, it's all become so distant that I'm like, well, where did we go? Summer of 2023 or autumn 22. It just disappears because you've done so many. But
I must change it. If someone said, Willow, what was your first episode? Couldn't I tell you? I really, really couldn't tell you. I couldn't think back that far.
Give me an hour to find it.
No, I would have. Do you know, when I look back on like old shows, I sit there and think, oh, I've done that subject. When did I do that subject? Things like that pop into my head. I'm going to quickly go into the comments. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Kelly.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Noreen. Friday night with my favourite people. Oh, my darling, you're our favourite too.
Thank you, Noreen.
Hey, Mike. He says, really enjoying this from Texas. Noreen says, I saw the triangle in 2011, not far from the flight path for Liverpool Airport. Sorry about that, I was getting a bit tongue-tied there. Mike's got the laughing face on, and he's saying hi. It's amazing the amount of sightings that people see.
I've got a question for you, because as you said about based in Manchester, what do you think about the orb that was seen at Manchester Airport?
So my personal, I mean, it's all a bit weird how it came about and then kind of disappeared again. The story, there's not much kind of like can't remember the word, but like story behind it really. And look, on the pictures, to me, my personal opinion was that it's if anything, it's a blue. Seeing like zoom in picture where you can kind of see the like where you blow it up. There's a little shoot thing that comes out of the balloons. And if there was anything that wasn't like that was something like an orb or something, we didn't know what it was, we would have heard a lot more about it at the time. Random picture months later. It's just all a bit.
Yeah, there was video footage. There was video footage circulated of it up in the sky first.
Yeah.
and then it came down to literally let down to the ground, and then all of a sudden it just disappeared.
Yeah.
And then they just concentrated more on the still photographs of it, and then within a couple of weeks you didn't see anything about it.
Yeah, no, kind of just the story just disappeared, like the balloon did. Well, the object.
I mean, we do. Yeah. I've had a theory about it, and we've mentioned it a few times, that for every authentic video that is out there, there's people planted on social media to immediately put out fake videos to try and wash away the real one.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
I must admit, I cringed there when you said orbs, because I'm like, oh, please don't start this discussion. I can see it. It's like as soon as MD says orbs, I cringe, because I go, oh no, here comes this discussion. Is it dust? Is it flies? Is it So Greg, how did you get into paranormal? What was your first experience? I'm going to pick you, Greg, right? Because you said you're in paranormal, so I'm like that. Yeah. What's your first experience?
Good question. It didn't really happen till sort of later on in life. I've had, like, as I say, I was watching the programs more than doing anything, and it wasn't until maybe about 15-20 years ago and started going out on paranormal investigations. I've had some absolutely weird stuff happen at, like, the ancient Ram-Inn. Loads of weird stuff happens there. It's the only place that I've ever visited where I've been petrified, really scared to go anywhere, and that was 2022 we went with the group I was with. The second time I'd been, and it was frightening. I wouldn't go anywhere, and I will go anywhere. I would do a lone vigil anywhere. I'm not scared, but that place absolutely frightened the life out of me. That night it was horrendous. I heard a growl, and from that moment on, we were about 5 minutes in. We had a private hire. There was like 5 of us, and that was it. I'm not even ashamed to admit it. It was horrendous. The feeling the whole night was awful. So I've just, I mean, since we've been doing the podcast, we've had loads of weird experiences with the podcast. I go out with Sarah, who was in the chat there. Me and Ash go out. We investigate together. We investigate with To Investigate and a few others. Sarah's my partner from To Investigate, so we do a lot of stuff together, me and her. I've had loads of frightening experiences in Ash's basement. Me and Ash have had some pretty spooky experiences with things being thrown, and which we caught on camera, which was weird. Me and Ash have been to Cannock Chase, and we've had loads of weird experiences there, and too many to recount now. There's
just to get you guys to come out on one of my events.
Absolutely, down for that.
We do. We like to go to Kelvin and Hatch nuclear bunker, and that's literally South Essex, just before you get to the M25. It's an awesome place. It really is a cracking place. And we're back down there in May, so it's quite an experience in there.
Ash,
no. Go on, sorry.
What was your experience paranormal?
So, like I said, my lifelong interest was mainly UFOs. I had an interest in like weird things and ghosts and stuff. I had that kind of belief, but nothing really happened to me until, again, this is another. Greg, somehow I only ever sort of connected these two right this second. Some reason about poker being the connection.
Yeah.
Because obviously we met through a poker site, and then my first experience where I thought, okay, that's kind of confirmed everything that I need to know. I was at a pub in Knutsford in Cheshire, and there was a poker night, like a pub poker night, £5 in type of thing. And where we played poker was in like the back room of the pub, a pub called the Lord Eldon. And we were playing it. It's a bit later on in the day. Only about a few of us left. And unless you were playing poker, you had no reason to go into this back room. There's no toilets in there, no other way out. It was just us in there. And the guy that runs it, called Dave, he had left about 5 minutes earlier. He had to care for his wife. And then, so we're just playing poker. I'm sat at the end of the table, and the door to the bar on the way out is to my left. And I see the door open and somebody walk in. So I just assumed it was Dave forgot something or whatever is coming back in. Yeah. And I saw the person walk in, walk behind me, stand. I could feel them stood next to me, and they said something like to the table. So I'm playing poker, but I've noticed this happen. But then no one reacted to him. And I thought, okay, so I turned to kind of acknowledge him, say, okay, I'll like sort of acknowledge you. So, so I turn, I'm like, oh, there's no one there. So I looked at my mate who's to my right, who's facing the door. I was like, is Dave just come back in? And she was like, no one's coming. She went, why? What? So I said, look like you've seen a ghost. And I remember saying, I think I just have. I saw them come in. I'm like, I don't know what they said, but when you can feel someone stood there and say something, it's only because no one else reacted. I thought, I'm not going to be rude. I'll acknowledge that you're there. And there's no one there. So that moment kind of thought, okay, there's something. I've always had an interest and kind of wanted to believe it, but that experience kind of, I experienced that. And I know that happened. That I saw somebody walk in and say something, but then there was absolutely nobody there.
We have a question from Mike. Do you have a website or a Facebook Messenger that I can send you photos of me calling in orbs?
If that's for me, we have UFO identified. Send messages on there to us.
Yep.
We'll take
Sarah says the basement is definitely a scary place. I've never jumped at the chance to go to someone's basement. Do you know what, Sarah? I definitely would love. That's why I would love if I had a house in America or Canada, because they've got so many basements, and I would love to be ghost hunting in their basements. I just think basements are amazing things. I'm fascinated by them.
This one's exceptional.
Well, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's just Lois likes basements for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I was going to say, just ignore the whips and chains.
Well, it's not.
Should ignore the ghosts.
Sarah says it's fab down there. It's like a street, but inside. That sounds amazing, Sarah. It honestly does. So who kicks ass at poker? Who beats who?
I don't think we've ever played each other, have we, really?
No, we haven't. But
it's weird.
I wasn't the best. I've won a bit, but I was never that good. Never that good.
I won quite a lot, so
I must admit, I would be pretty shy. I would be pretty like looking at my cards going, oh, they're good. All in. It would just be one of those ones. But definitely.
Lois would be the sort of person that would turn her cards around and go, are these any good?
Yeah.
That's only if I trusted the guy next to me.
No, it'd be the whole table you'd show them to. What do you reckon, guys?
just throw them all in and just say, guys, is that all right? Noreen says, sorry. Noreen says, Lo has got some creepy things in her basement. Oh, would you like to know, Noreen?
Yeah, and they go on a rack.
Sarah said, never play poker, but we'll do if we go to Vegas, Greg. Right, you need to go to Vegas. That's it, Sarah. I think we should all chant that you are off to Vegas.
We'll go, Sarah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's a big hint. Vegas.
We've talked because the last two times I've been to Vegas, I went out to Area 51 as well. So,
oh my God! How did you find it, Greg? Because I've watched many YouTube videos of people who have went to Area 51, and there's been vehicles that have been parked up in the mountains.
I'll go on the photos because you get to the mailbox, the famous mailbox, and then you take just follow it down basically for about 20 miles. You're on a dirt track in the middle of nowhere. It's it's weird. And then you come round a corner, and all of a sudden, it's all the verges are up, and you can see all the listening equipment, etc. You've got the signpost to say "Don't cross the line," and then as you're looking forward, if you look up to the right, the camo dudes are parked up there. They're just waiting for you. Got the photographs from way out of them parked up waiting for you. And I turned the camera around, and then they reversed back.
Yeah.
So, how close are you to it then? A long way, I know.
Nowhere near.
Nowhere near.
You can't see it. It's
like,
over the mountain.
How many
range.
miles would you say? How many miles?
About 13 or 14 miles away.
Yeah. So you're not going to get no pictures of them.
No. I've got photos. So I used to work for a radar company, so I know certain equipment. And in the photo that I've got in the background, the second time I went, it's a FLIR system, a FLIR radar system, because I recognised it from being a competitor. And they've got a drone radar system, so anything goes up, they will spot it. So
so you can't put your drone up to have a little peek.
Absolutely, they would shoot the thing down, I'm sure.
Yeah,
no drones.
Do you know what? I could really believe that, because there was a video of two people on their bikes. Everybody's seen it. Two people were on their bikes, and the guys came up pretty close and got out the car. And the one thing that they did notice, bye Mike, 2 minutes Mike, and I'll get the email address for you. Was that when they got out the vehicle, they didn't look like your bog standard security. Even they made me feel uneasy, but it's one thing that I would love to do is go to the Nevada desert. Are you guys ever came across the case of Kenny Veach?
Not myself,
the YouTuber that went missing, but claimed that there was an M cave. He came across an M cave. That's an interesting case. You should watch. You should look at that one, guys. Because I had watched something that was based on Kenny Veach, and then I did my own research on it, and it was like he had found an M cave, and he went back to prove that it was there, and he went missing. Now, how many people go out missing in the Nevada desert? You imagine this big, huge place, and you think, how many people went missing? Either murder or mysterious circumstances.
When we went out there, you could drive. We drove for about half an hour down a straight road and didn't see a single car. So you can imagine it's very easy to go missing.
Oh wow!
It's definitely worth it, because Vegas is only it's about 2.5 hour drive from Vegas. So we hired a car and went out.
Oh wow!
Couldn't not. I went to the Little Lady Inn, and so it's cool. It's cool.
I think that would be amazing.
Makes the UK look tiny compared, doesn't it?
Yeah. Very, very strange place.
Oh, Ash, have you ever been to Vegas?
No, would love to. In the past, I'd probably love to, but I think the way that country is at the minute, I probably don't want to go there at the minute.
Yeah,
see what happens. It gets better maybe in the future.
Yeah. I think you should just jump in Greg's suitcase and go with him and Sarah. Just hide in the suitcase.
Yeah.
As you go through customs, you'll see the X-ray man in the bag. Hey Joanne, how you doing? Mike is asking for your email address.
Probably the best thing, you go to our website, which is ufoidentified.co.uk. On the homepage, you scroll down, it's got all our contact details, my email address, and social media's on there. So that's probably the best way to find us. It's quite a long, winded email address. So ufoidentified.co.uk, and you can contact us through that.
But definitely, you gentlemen, Robert, you've been awful quiet, so you can fire a question at the guys.
Yeah, come on, Rob. Well, he's only just got up. in Australia.
It's only 5 a.m.
Rob's in Australia, guys. Rob's in Australia.
I'm telling them 5 a.m. in Australia.
5:30 now. Yeah.
Oh well, 5:30.
Wow.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of any cases down here in Australia?
So one of my favourite abduction cases is from Australia. I can't remember the name of the lady, but it's where she there's someone staying at the house, and then they heard a scream, and then they saw the woman sort of being lifted up off the sofa and out the window, and then called the police because she couldn't find her. The police came, couldn't find her on the premises. Then they got a phone call about an hour later from a police force a couple 100 miles away. And she had turned up at a petrol station like a couple 100 miles away. Like, it's kind of like confused, didn't know where she was. And the fact that like the police were involved kind of backs up the story. And there's no way she could have got from that house to this petrol station in the time that had happened. And there was like scorch marks and stuff on the window, things like that. I can't remember the exact name of it, but that case has really been like an interesting one. That I think is just like one I always go back to because when you have like the police stuff and reports, and that always adds that bit of extra to it. Because kind of got the credibility that like
it solidifies
this happened. So that's really interesting.
It's a bit like that the Betty Hill case, isn't it? Where her and her husband were driving home. They got abducted and then they were brought back, but they weren't brought back in the same place.
Yeah,
they were brought back a little bit further down the road.
Yeah,
and it's a situation like that where you can't deny that something has happened when a person gets lifted up and taken out of a window and then pops up a couple of 100 miles away.
Yeah.
How can you dispute that?
Yeah.
And that's what makes a lot of the abduction cases quite interesting. Same as the Travis Walton case.
Yeah,
I mean, that is phenomenal. I think that's probably one of my favourite ones, the Travis Walton case.
Yeah, you just got to tell them if you're going to pick you up, put them back in the same place.
Yeah, if you're going to take me out of my armchair, can you at least put me back in it again? And preferably before the show finishes so I can carry on from where I left off.
It's interesting.
They're not bothered about location, I guess.
It's interesting you ask about Australian cases. Our first episode was about the Australian Bigfoot, Yowie.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's a horrific episode in terms of recording and laughing and stuff like that to make it. But that was actually our first episode, was talking about Australian Bigfoot. So
they're usually the best shows, your first shows, because you either say the wrong things, you're too busy laughing because it's such a thingy, or everything goes wrong on your opening night. You know, the StreamYard doesn't want to work. When it does want to work, it just plays up. Oh.
Definitely.
Definitely. I can't even remember the questions, just went totally out of my head. It must have been not that important. But yeah, I think what fascinates me the most about the subject is missing time. When someone claims that they've missed time, I think that's a very, very fascinating subject. Like, how can you... Oh, here comes my boy. Hello! Hiya, Nick.
How you guys doing?
Yeah.
Oh my word, it's a face I haven't seen in like over a month.
This is my other half of my network. Nick, this is Greg and Ash.
It's the first half of the network.
Yeah.
He's the first half. He got his first N. I got the W. It was a toss up. I just thought gentlemen first. But Nick, it's our first opening night, yay!
Yep.
On the network, so I'm super excited. Hey Nicola darling, how's you? But yeah, definitely missing time. I've always found that like fascinating, like how many cases that you find that people can't account for. They're like they were say at the shop at 8, but they didn't get home to 12 at night, and it's like they only stay 5 minutes up the road. So that cases like that's what fascinates me the most.
Yeah, but you have someone that's experienced that firsthand on your show tonight.
I wonder who that person may be, Wayne.
I don't know. Could it be me?
Me too.
Yes.
I've had that. Yeah.
Oh, 2 years. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll flip it. Who's starting first? For fuck's sake. Robert, you start first.
Go in a clockwise order.
It's mainly from Cairns to the place we were at that point in time called Balladin Kerr. Like the distance between those two driving is about an hour and 20 minutes. And we would be going from Cairns back down to the home at Balladin Kerr, and it would only take about 30-40 minutes, and we were traveling at 100 kilometers an hour. So it's not normally, as I said, normally about an hour and 20 minutes to get there, but we'd get there within about 30-40 minutes. So definitely missing time there somewhere. And a couple of spots that we drove through, one place in particular called Fishery Falls, there was a light pole that, because we'd be driving back down as it was getting dark, the lights had come on, and this one particular light pole, as soon as we drove underneath it, would go out. So don't know what was going there, but a few times I'd actually thought I'd seen a figure underneath the light pole. So
yeah.
Oh, that's not interesting.
So you'd look back and there'd be no one there.
I would be pretty freaked out with that. I've got in that. I would be. Mr. Wayne.
Yes.
Your missing time story.
Missing time and space, I think, is more the appropriate side to call it. We've been investigating down at Woodchester Mansion, and we left there about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. The sat nav told us that because of roadworks, we wouldn't get home till 6. Yeah. So we started on our journey. We got onto the M25, got round to Waltham Abbey, the Waltham Abbey junction at, which is just after the A10 on the M25. And within seconds, we were actually coming off the M25 at junction 29, which is about 5 or 6 junctions further down the road.
Yeah.
And when I sort of went, what the hell are we doing here? I had 2 team members behind me, and we were talking all the time from the moment we left Woodchester Mansion. My partner Ellen was asleep in the front seat. She was totally unaware. And so, of course, next minute we're heading down the slip road off the M25, heading towards Basildon, which is the junction after the one we needed. And so I've gone, well, what the hell are we doing here? And quick thinking, straight underneath the M25, back up the other side, onto the M25, to the A12, which is the junction we needed to get back to Colchester.
Yeah.
As soon as we went under the M25, I started to get a splitting headache. Drove all the way home.
And it's back.
We got back an hour early. We were back at 5 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock. And yet we'd travelled further than what the sat-nav was originally programmed for. And when I looked at it, we had jumped about 19, 20 odd miles within about 5 seconds, because none of us in the car, the 3 of us that were in the car, cannot remember anything between Waltham Abbey junction and the junction that we ended up coming off at. The following day, I had a constant headache despite taking medication to get rid of it, but could not get shot of it. I checked with Chloe, who was with us, and she'd lost her appetite, and that appetite loss had carried on for about 3 days. And Mick, who was also in the back of the car that I was talking to during the whole journey, he literally felt as if he hadn't been out investigating. He said, it was like he could just go off and do a marathon. He had no paranormal hangover whatsoever. Now, my partner, Ellen, who had been asleep for the whole journey, didn't experience any of this. And yet by the afternoon, the following day, she was really badly sick. So all 4 of us were affected by what had happened that night. And we still can't figure out how we had lost an hour, where the hour had disappeared to, and how we'd managed to travel that distance in about 5 seconds flat.
Ooh.
That is a pretty... Do you know what? I've
scary as hell.
Oh.
I know. Like, that is... You couldn't really explain that. Like,
I mean, when I've mentioned it on other shows, people have turned around and said, well, could you have fallen asleep at the wheel? And I'm like, anybody knows the M25, you cannot fall asleep at the wheel for 5 minutes. It's a circle and it's full of bends and there's lots of traffic on the M25 24 hours a day. I would have crashed after a mile if that had been the case.
Nicholas asking, what do you think caused this?
We don't know. I mean, there's lots of theories. There could have been a time slip. There could have been a portal. It could have been an abduction. We don't know because we don't particularly want to go and look into it too deep. Simply because it's happened to us. We're worried that something else may happen if we dig too deep into it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it seems to be that area, you've got Epping Forest nearby. You've got the old armament factory nearby where they used to make nitroglycerin, which is very haunted. So it could be something paranormal. It could be something sort of not so natural.
Yeah. So
whatever it was, we've looked back at it and we've gone, no, that's as scary as hell, and we won't look into it too deep.
Sometimes they say the better the devil you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you shouldn't be prodding, because my sister always comments about me when things happen in my house, and she'll go, "See you poked your nose into something that wasn't your business," and I'm just like, "Shut up! I wouldn't swap this life so built up." Do you know somebody else who misses time? Nick, you've had missing time.
I don't, it's funny. I don't really recall any time where I had missing time, honestly. I'm trying to think.
I'm taking the piss.
But you do. You do.
Usually it's about half an hour.
I was going to say, well, since you put it that way, I mean, I guess you can say that was missing time.
only when Nick lies down and falls asleep in his massage chair. Then that's definitely missing time. Would you boys say that's missing time when Nick falls asleep in the massage chair?
Seems like it.
I think it's probably more a lack of keeping track of the time.
That sounds honestly more efficient.
No, I always joke with Nick that Nick
we all go into. We can all miss time. When you travel from one place to another in your car or walking or wherever.
2 minutes.
You will miss time. Meditative. Well, I can't speak. You'll drive somewhere, and you don't remember the journey. You get there, and you don't. Oh, I'm here. But you don't remember the journey. You don't remember the journey, do you?
No. But the thing is with us, there was 4 of us in the car. 3 of us were wide awake, and we were all chatting. So about what had happened during the course of the night.
Yeah.
So, we should have remembered
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it takes, we think we worked it out, it was something like takes 22 minutes to get from Waltham Abbey to the Basildon turn-off on the N25.
Yeah.
So for those 22 minutes, we just don't know what we were talking about, and we've all ended up with headaches.
Yeah, and you're an hour earlier than should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the times don't add up. You know, 22 minutes to travel that distance, yet we got home an hour early.
No.
That's pretty mental. That is pretty mental.
So the times are all out.
These abduction cases, that's where it all, they can't. Mm-hmm. They just cover it up, don't they?
Oh God, yeah. God, yeah.
You know, they just cover it all up. How can you sort of be like 200 miles away from where you? Oh, it's just nuts, isn't it?
I think what gets me is that for years we're all led to believe that there's no such thing as UFOs, UAPs. There's no such things as alien. Then all of a sudden, boom, they have a Congress meeting. And I just feel if you're admitting to these UFOs and UAPs, aliens and such things, then what else are you hiding? You've got all the other conspiracy theories, you know, that have the same sort of theme, but they're different scenarios.
I think the problem is, and this goes right the way back through history, we have all been forced into believing one certain set of ways.
Yeah.
And if you look at, for example, and I'm not going to have a go at religions, but if you look at religion is just as bad. Religion always turned around and said, you will worship only one God. Yet there's so many gods out there, you can pick or choose which one you want to worship. Yeah. And this is the same with UFOs. We've been told there's no such thing as UFOs, and they've wanted to hold on to that belief so that we're led to believe that we are the only living things in the known universe, when we know for a fact that there are habitable planets out there.
Yeah.
And all they need to do is started developing, you know, their evolution could be 1,000, 5,000 years ahead of ours. And they would have learned how to traverse great distances in a short period of time.
Definitely, without a doubt. Greg and Ash, what's your thoughts on Skinwalker Ranch?
There's better places.
Do you know what?
Wow.
Do you know what? I think a lot of people's
the only reason I say that is there is another ranch in the US called Stardust Ranch, and so it was a ranch that I'd been interested in for a long time, like when we were doing the podcast, and we managed to be one of the last few people to interview John Edmonds, who owned the ranch before he passed away a few years ago. So episode 8 of our podcast is Stardust Ranch, which is our interview with John Edmonds, which is a whole other story of weird. But it makes Skinwalker Ranch look like
a picnic,
a basic farm. Yes, it's
just say it as you see it, Greg. Just say, look, it makes Skinwalker Ranch look shit.
The thing is, Skinwalker Ranch is a fascinating place. It's one of those enigmas that everybody has heard of Skinwalker Ranch, but not many people have heard of Stardust Ranch. Yeah. The Stardust Ranch, there's so much physical evidence of what backs up John Edmonds' claims about him killing greys, trespassing. The story is fantastical. I mean, you couldn't even make it up if you wanted to. It's that crazy. And when we had fun trying to speak to John Edmonds, he didn't have like Wi-Fi. We had to call him on a mobile. We had to try and record the episode through Skype, ringing a mobile phone in America.
It was a landline number.
It was a landline number even, sorry. The guy strange things happened whilst we were recording it as well. as a lot of things happen with our episodes when we're recording them, but this was a particularly weird one. But the story is like nothing else you've ever heard. So Skinwalker Ranch is great, and I love the whole story of like Orsaf, A-Tip doing their bit with John Bigelow and Nids and all of that research into the property. But John Bigelow was actually going to buy Stardust Ranch before he bought Skinwalker Ranch. So that tells you something a little bit about Stardust Ranch. But yeah, fascinating place. The guy is absolutely fascinating to speak to.
So do you think the reason why Skinwalker Ranch has gained so much popularity is because the likes of John Bigelow invested a lot of money into it, and now this guy's taken over? The same thing has happened again. So the TV channels have gone, oh, we need to stomp on this one quick and get a show going. And Stardust Ranch has sort of been forgotten.
I mean, with John Edmonds passing, he's like, I don't know, even I think his wife just remains there. I don't know, but Skinwalker Ranch, because the book that came out, Hunt for the Skinwalker, with I can't even remember his name now.
I know who you're talking about exactly, but I can't remember the name myself off the top of my head.
I said Colm Kelleher and George Knapp wrote the book. And obviously George Knapp is a big character in the UAP world, especially now. So, and he launched the whole Bob Lazar Area 51 stuff way back in the late 80s. So that I think is why Skinwalker got its reputation, because of these books and the people behind it. Whereas Stardust Ranch, till John Edmonds took it over, it was quite an unknown kind of place. And I mean, I don't know if you know much about Stardust Ranch, but
for God's sake, I've got a full show tonight. Here's my boy, my other boy. So Greg, Ash, this is Tom. Tom, this is Greg, Ash.
Hi guys.
Hiya.
Good evening. Good evening.
How you doing? Yeah, good.
Greg and Ash is like, holy fuck, this is not what we were expecting tonight.
Well, listen, one more, and then we got the Brady Bunch going. So.
Yeah.
One more, and I'm fucking off out of here. Because I'm the only woman here.
Well, I guess you got to be Alice and Carol. And all three girls. You know.
Yeah.
Sorry, Greg, carry on, honey.
No, I was going to say, with Stardust Ranch, the first day of John Edmonds even just moving into the place and all the strange events that happened, and he came across some guy walking across his ranch. He met with him and said, "What are you doing?" And he's like, I work here. And he's like, well, unfortunately, I bought the property. You don't work here anymore, in the nicest possible way. And the guy said, I'm the one that kills the monsters. So it was just an interesting start to his property journey. Yeah. So
I mean, can you imagine that owning a ranch? You think you've bought this beautiful ranch, and then someone comes up and says, "Hey, I work with you, by the way. I kill monsters." I would be like looking about for the stray jacket, like is somebody coming to collect him or something? But yeah, I do totally get it. I think
I would have thought he would have been talking, if he said, you know, I kill the monsters, I thought he'd have been talking about moles or gophers or something, you know.
Well, John soon found out there wasn't that.
Yeah.
So I would love to watch that interview. I think what I'll do is I'll track that one down.
Episode 8.
And go and watch it, definitely, because I like to hear about these places that are unknown. See, the problem is, right, guys, and it's not just paranormal, the UAP, right, UFOs, but these wee places are well known, and everybody keeps throwing the well-known ones, Area 51, you know, Skinwalker Ranch, you've got Waverly Hill Sanatorium, you know, all the different places. But then, see, when you look at the backgrounds of the wee places that are not known, they're probably the more better one.
That's why
with my show Nick Files, I focus more on the lesser known locations, cases out there. I mean, yes, every now and then I'll focus on a notorious location, and that's what I did, in fact, for the first couple episodes when I first started Nick Files. But now I've been focusing on these other locations that either, as I would describe, either used to be on a lot of paranormal shows but have either been forgotten, have pretty much been forgotten, or they're locations that have never been spoken about at all. So it's to give that message, and it's to send it. My show basically kind of sends that message that there's a lot of other locations and, you know, cases and other types of activity out there that a lot of us don't even know about. And so my job with Nick Files is to really go deep, you know, with these type of locations instead of focusing on the more notorious ones.
Yeah.
I mean, when we started our podcast, the actual survey similar to Nick, the actual tagline for our podcast is exploring the lesser known stories of our unknown world.
Well, just like you, you guys.
It's like saying, like with the first episode, we did it on Yowie, so it's like it's not Bigfoot, it's Yowie. It's kind of what people don't really talk about, like Stardust Ranch, not Skinwalker Ranch. And when we did an episode, because when we started the podcast in 2020, we started in December. Obviously, end of December was the 40-year anniversary of the Rendlesham. And we were like, we want to do something, but we don't want to do Rendlesham because everybody's done Rendlesham. What's the point? You can't really add anything to the story. So we took Rendlesham, but then we explored your stories, like the 1952 case in Rendlesham, the 156 case, the one in February 1980 that happened that no one talks about, and some of the more kind of weird in the greater Suffolk area. Some of them going back like 1,000 years from these stories. So we sort of focus. So we did do Rendlesham, but kind of the other stories of Rendlesham, not the main. I think it is important to share that.
Yeah, I think that is the biggest.
Nick?
So, I mean, you don't actually have to see what's being said on it, but this is a list of all the locations and different types of like paranormal entities and stuff like the and cases and stuff that I will be turning into episodes of Nick Files. No, you guys can't see
I thought that was your OnlyFans.
Oh no, I know you guys can't read exactly what it says, but I would say probably a good 98% of these locations I have on this list are probably most likely are locations you guys may have never even heard about. So that's my intention. That it just goes to show there's so many others out there that we never really focus on as much.
I hope that's no all girls' names in there. Is it? Oh Jesus! I've taken Nick off the stage.
Those are all the women he's stalking right now.
I mean, I think it is important to go through to the lesser stories because, like with Rendlesham Forest, a lot of people don't realise that whole area goes right the way back to Anglo-Saxon times. Sutton Hoo is only just down the road. There was lots of druids and a lot of weird stuff going on there. The Celts and you've got witchcraft going on in the forest. There was all manner of things going on in there, and not just UFOs.
Yeah, Alistair Crowley's located the forest too with his goings on.
Do you know what? There's amazing the amount of places that you find that Alistair Crowley's in. Like he's everywhere. Like if you trace back history, he's like
he's amazing stuff.
Mail.
Matter of fact, I just saw.
Sorry, guys, I've got a phone call coming in from my father. 2 minutes.
No problem.
I just saw there's a YouTube channel called the Grim Life Collective where they do a lot of like exploring and stuff like that. A lot of like old movie stuff or whatever, or just creepy stuff in general. They just in the last few months went to an abandoned house that belonged to Aleister Crowley. Over in California, I think I want to say.
Yeah.
There was another location too. This was actually in the home country of Italy. You know where Aleister Crowley was originally from. Was some of you guys may have heard of this location? The Lima Abbey, which the Abbey it's still standing today, but unfortunately it's rotted to the present day because it was closed. It was shut down, literally by the Italian dictator Mussolini at that time, and for many decades, it was believed that the Lima Abbey was actually destroyed when in fact it was not. It was just literally just boarded up and just exposed to the elements. And that was where he practiced a lot of his rituals. And to this day, there's even still followers of Crowley that go to the remains of the Lima Abbey to practice the rituals. And that was even featured one time on the one of the older paranormal shows, Various Places on Earth.
Mussolini always sounds like a game character to me. I don't know. It's me, a Mussolini.
I just laughed there, but I just want to start, guys, by saying thank you to Greg and Ash for their time, for coming on, guys. You have been absolutely brilliant. I hope we've not stressed you out too much.
No, it's been fun.
No, all good.
It keeps them off of TikTok.
Nothing keeps us off of TikTok, I tell you.
Every day I see you guys on there. So,
how does it feel for the book to be on another foot tonight? Because I did notice in one of your posts you put that you were getting interviewed for a change. So how does it feel to be on the other side of the veranda?
It's definitely an interesting experience, because usually we're having to think about the questions and trying to find the guests, and that in itself is a mission, especially when you're 4.5 years in. It's very difficult. We've been putting out an episode pretty much for 4.5 years every week, so it's a challenge. And now we're doing like the TikToks. We've got a book out together that we wrote a few years ago.
Oh wow! What's your book called, if you don't mind me asking?
Yes, what we prepared earlier.
Oh wow!
Look at that!
Twin screen.
We've got twin screens here, guys.
Paranormal United
Who would have
States.
guessed that they would both have a copy right there?
So where is the book available?
Amazon.
And on TikTok.
On Amazon.
And right there,
and TikTok as well. TikTok.
So I mean, if you could, would you be able to send Lois the link, and then we can put it into the group so that we can sort of push it out there for people?
Yeah. See if you send me all your links, guys. Definitely, what I will do is I will put them out there, because it's just great to help others. And as I said, I'm so honoured to have you guys on. It's been a good night. I've been the little ladies. I can't say it's 3 men and a little lady. Yeah.
But before it ends, just in case it hasn't been said the entire show, which I'm willing to bet it hasn't been, cryptids.
We've got about 20 minutes into it.
Oh, all
right. Tom, you got it, didn't you?
Talk like that. Again. Do you know what? Just especially for you, sweetheart, we were talking about cryptids. We were. Do you know what?
It sounds like
here's a funny question, Greg and Ash. But what one of the cryptids do you not believe in? What ones are you skeptical about?
The left one. It's always a little bigger, it's weird. I don't know.
The one that's a little bit lower than the other.
The one that makes me down to my knees. You said my mate Tom.
I don't know, really. I mean, for me, cryptids, it covers a lot of things. We've spoken to people that have talked about seeing goblins. Yeah, and that to me is a bit of a push, but who's to know? I mean, we talk to people about all sorts of stuff, and over the years, anything. If I said to myself a few years ago that we'd be talking to people about even past lives, reincarnation, and this guy talking about the fact that he had like this goblin come into his kitchen, I mean, I'd have thought my future self was mental. But I think some of that stuff, I think there could be like a Bigfoot type creature out there. I think the problem is that there's no definitive evidence either way.
Well,
and I think that's the challenge.
There's kind of one near me. I live in Philadelphia. So Jersey is just right across the river. And that's the Jersey Devil.
Yep, the
and
Jersey Devil.
There's a place here on the Philadelphia side of the Delaware River where, and I haven't gone down to look at it yet, but I will. Supposedly there's a rock that has the footprint of the Jersey Devil embedded in it. And I mean, it might just be folklore. It might just look like something that would be a devil's. I don't know. I guess. But
I figure, because I was going to say the Jersey Devil's been seen as far over as Pennsylvania, and that's something I've always wanted to really investigate at some point.
Yeah,
in Pennsylvania, we have other weird cryptids, like this guy that has his whole world and he explores it. And
used to are going to go in the naughty step anymore. You're pushed through this Minecraft.
You forgot the most important part. He's often seen with a beer going around and like having a beer bottle, and also he's apparently
he's on the mountain too.
Well, I also accidentally invaded his territory, so now apparently he's hunting me also in game Minecraft.
Yeah.
Doesn't he go hunting with a rubber chicken?
Yeah, sometimes.
Where is your cock tonight?
In his pants, hopefully.
But I think when we say that, people get frightened. They get, oh, holy fuck, what am I seeing?
Wait, what's he going to do? I thought this was on Facebook.
Then all of a sudden they see the chicken and it's thingy. I must admit, guys, right, I'm Nick, and everybody laughs when I say this, but I just don't believe in Nessie. I think that's a load of old crock. And I'm Scottish. And I should be ashamed of myself. Hey Kate, how you doing, my darling? I hope you're much better. I know you weren't feeling too well. We have a full house tonight. Jesus Christ, I'm lucky.
I'm Uncle Jesse.
But I just don't believe in this. I mean, there's a guy who gave up his life. He's been there from the 90s. You know, you would expect that from the 90s to the 2025 that he would have at least a shred of evidence, and he has fuck all. I mean, imagine giving up your life, your job, everything you've ever known to live by.
Doesn't he own a cafe on the lakeside?
I'm sure he does, yeah.
So although he's given up his entire life up to that, from that point onwards, he has still had an income from the tourism it's generated.
Yeah.
So in a sense, he's tapped into something that hasn't been tapped into, whether Nessie exists or not. He's making a living from it, isn't he?
Yeah.
See, that's the only cryptid I would say that I have a big issue with is Nessie. And maybe it's because she's Scottish. Maybe that's why I don't like her. It's because she's Scottish.
Just assume her gender. How do you know it's not a guy? Maybe she identifies as a guy.
Don't you start me on this pish, Tom. Okay. What if Nessie was non-binary?
What if they're like worms and they're both sexes at the same time? And
Nessie's a toaster.
Poor Greg's like that. I'm not listening to this pish.
But see,
you never know. Nessie might identify as a penguin.
It might.
I mean, it's an awful big size to be a penguin.
So, Greg and Ash, you've been listening to all these people talk for the last hour. That gentleman way up in the corner up there, tell me he does not sound like Michael Caine.
I said, just to blow the bloody doors off.
The more I listened to him in the beginning, I was like, oh my God, he really does sound like him.
Greg,
however, though, Tom, it does get worse when I say, who whip?
What you like? It's like, cut it out, Michael Caine.
That's how you pronounce it if you want to say it the right way that Michael Caine said it. Michael Caine.
Kate, that is Tom admitting that he has a problem. He's substitute the
not
beer.
Cocaine. That ain't my problem. I got other ones, but cocaine ain't one.
But guys, I hope you have had a good night. We do try and bring the best of the show.
Yeah, cool.
But please, guys, check out Pursuit of the Paranormal. They are lovely guys. Please check them out. Go and give them a wee like, give them a following. But everybody have a good weekend and stay safe. And I'm so glad. First show on the network.
I just also want to give a quick shout out too, because I just got word.
Bye.
I said this last night that Tom McNicholas needed support because he was in the hospital because he had back surgery.
Yeah.
Turns out it was the same hospital that my older sister works at, and she just said that he is out of surgery in his room. He's a little groggy, but he's doing good.
Nice.
He's not really up for phone calls or anything like that. So I just want to say, best thing I could do is, Tom, get better soon. He's hoping to be coming back home on Monday.
Well, he's always a little flighty anyway, so being groggy shouldn't be that bad for him. I mean, I'm just saying.
He had surgery, though.
I know. I got busted balls. It's what I do.
Kate said, had Nick a haircut looking good, Nick?
No, I didn't get a haircut. Before I came out here, I was showered.
That's what he did.
He's got a funny weird
while on here.
Pinkish red egg-looking thing growing out the back of his head.
Yeah.
I think he got too much crap for having the bunny ears back there because it looked like they were coming right out of his head. So he the egg.
But no, definitely everybody have a good weekend. Guys, thank you very much again. And I hope to get you back later on in the year. But everyone take care. Happy Friday. Bye, everyone.
Cheers, all. See you later.
Bye.